Survive the Jurassic Park franchise. This is our review of The Legacy of Isla Nublar.
The Legacy of Isla Nublar is a legacy game based on the Jurassic Park and Jurassic World movies. And this was our first go at a legacy game, but I loved it, especially because of the dinosaurs.
I like how they incorporated details from the movies. I just wish the gameplay was a little more fun. We'll tell you all about it after this quick how to play. Since it's a legacy game, at the start of each adventure, players will open an envelope that includes new setups, round cards, and items for the specific adventure.
Each game is played over 5 rounds, with each of the missions being different for each game.
Players will have action tokens, allowing them to take a certain number of actions each round, depending on the player count.
Over the course of each adventure, players will have to complete the missions listed on their round cards, as well as the missions listed in their adventure guide.
After each player has taken their turn, the dinosaurs will take their actions, either moving to different zones or attacking.
If all of the missions are accomplished by the end of round 5, and the players don't go over the consequence limit, they win the adventure.
There are 10 main adventures in the game, along with a prologue and finale adventure. Before you book your ticket to Jurassic Park, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. All your likes and subscribes really help our channel grow, so thank you.
And spoiler warning, we're going to be going over details of this legacy game, so if you don't want to be spoiled, go ahead and skip ahead to the overall rating.
This was our first legacy game, and I think it was a pretty easy one overall. I'm glad this was kind of our intro to legacy games before we get into more difficult ones. I think why we really gravitated towards this was the IP, the Jurassic Park, Jurassic World IP, because they have a lot of details in this game that go with the movie. Some of the adventures are almost like mirrors of the movie. Like, oh, this is the first Jurassic Park, this is the Lost World, this is Jurassic Park 3, and then you have the Jurassic World, and then you have Fallen Kingdom. So it kind of hits a little bit of all the scenarios that happen in those movies. So I think all that fun from the movies in the game, and then all the dinosaurs, especially the dinosaur meeples, going around the island, doing the things, it's fun. However, I would say that it does get a little repetitive. You are doing the same thing over and over again, so the gameplay can get a little boring, but I still appreciate the details that went into the game and how they came up with the whole story over all 10 adventures.
With this being a new experience for us because it was a legacy game, I wasn't sure what to think, right? I mean, I knew we had to probably put things that were going to be permanent and kind of change the game later on, and then we'll never know what it was like not to put that there, because maybe we made it easier without even knowing, or maybe we made it more difficult for some adventures. So I kind of like that idea, like those parallel universes. We'll never know. I'm with you on the whole IP, I mean dinosaurs. I think that's what I really liked about it. I'm not going to say that it helped a lot that if you watch the movies or have watched all the movies. However, you can kind of see some connections. So when you're planning ahead, you're like, something crazy might happen with this guy this round. So maybe I'll choose this guy.
So over the course of the game, you're going to unlock more characters, and a lot of the characters have to do with the movies. So you'll have Owen Grady from the new ones. You'll have Muldoon from the very first one. Of course, you have Ian Malcolm, Jeff Goldblum with his shirt off, classic pose. And depending on which adventure you're in, if it's tied to that specific movie, you're limited to those characters to be able to use during that adventure, which is kind of a hindrance because some of the characters are way more overpowered than the others. Some are almost comically useless while you're playing with them. It's sort of like, yeah, I have my character, but all the asymmetric abilities that my character can do, not good to use. Or the one where like, I really want to use John Hammond because he has such a strong power being able to move the other characters, but after the 4th or 5th adventure, can't use him anymore. You could use him as his legacy ability, which are the abilities on the back, but then you can't use them anymore. You're sort of like, well, that was the only thing that was really helping us like really achieve all of our goals quickly. I think the first game we weren't allowed to use John Hammond was the first game that we lost. You can see after each time that you play the game, you fill it out on this card. First one we lost was round 5. That probably was the first time we weren't allowed to use John Hammond because we were like, well, how are we supposed to do this? Eventually we figured it out and we got better, but we were sitting there going, this game's almost impossible without that extra ability that he had.
I was always excited when we opened the envelope and we got new characters. I was always like, ooh, what do they do? Because, we know John Hammond and these guys have like pretty good stuff. Like, I'm hoping maybe the new ones, like, new is always better. Didn't always work out that way. So I kind of steered towards let's just do tried and true for some of them, but at least have a new player of the new ones, maybe not everyone be new.
One thing about this game, as we were going along, we did do pretty well. We won quite a lot of them. However, I think that meant that we kept opening new carnivores as you went, because you open new dinosaurs as you go, whether you win or lose. And we kept opening new carnivores, which made it more and more difficult. That also meant that we really didn't open any herbivores. So that means that we didn't get to Lee's favorite dinosaur until at the very end. We're like, well, let's just see what we didn't open. We got through the whole finale and we didn't even get the Ankylosaurus. We're just like, well, what's in this box? So we opened it just to see. And that's when we finally got it. So if you're doing well, you may see more of the red meeples. If you're not doing well, you may see more of the green meeples.
Funny thing about that too, if you run out of the red ones, you're like, how bad can it get? Well, guess what? You can turn some of the green ones into carnivores too. So you're like, ah, come on.
Yeah, when it gets to later in the adventures and they get into the later movies when they had the hybrid dinosaurs and all that kind of stuff, suddenly it's like, oh, well, we're genetically modifying them. So herbivores are now also carnivores. So for the last few adventures, our Brachiosaurus was also a carnivore. So even though we were like, oh yeah, we still got that one, it's close to us, it's still an herbivore. Nope, carnivore now. It's gonna come and eat you. Another thing that this game added each time you open an adventure packet is one of these new blue cards, which are kind of like the go-to appendix when you have a question about a certain rule. But it made it a little difficult because it's like, all right, here's a new adventure, here's the new rules, here are your new blue cards. Read, read, read. Oh, to understand what you have to do, refer to the blue card. So we have to stop where we are, go to the blue card, read the blue card, see if we can understand what it's talking about, then go back to the new adventure guide and figure all that stuff out. I like that it's handy dandy on here if you have a question while playing, but when you're first learning the new rules, and they add a lot of new ones as you go, well, there's a lot here. So for example, later on in the game when it adds monorail stations, it's like you got all this here, and it's a very important new mechanic that they add to the game that you will need to use and use correctly. But it's like, oh, you have monorail stations now, and you can put them and they do this. And it's sort of like, all right, now go buy them and then play the adventure. So you got to figure out, well, where are we permanently going to put all these things before we play the adventure to see if we should put them there or not. And I don't know if that's just legacy games in general, it might be, but it's sort of like, oh, well, we got all this cool stuff and we placed it down permanently as a sticker. And then after we played with it, you're like, you shouldn't have done that.
Throughout the game and throughout the adventure, when we're putting down these stickers, I'm always just like, you know, it seems very like suspicious that, yeah, the easy move is to just put all the good dinosaurs here, or put all the buildings right here. Like, nah, that's too easy. They're gonna mess it up, where later on in the game, we're just gonna be kicking ourselves like, why did we do that? This. We'd come up with something like, all right, guys, where do you want to put the shed, the electrical shed or whatnot? Like, we should probably put it far away. There's probably gonna be some reason that like we gotta get to it, but then also like get a dinosaur. I don't know. There's going to be a reason. Let's not put everything in this spot. So let's spread it out a little bit. That actually worked in our favor. However,
no, it didn't. This is a spoiler alert. When you're building and if you're playing this game, put all of the buildings right next to each other, because the mechanical shed, you're going to need to turn on the power when the power goes off, or else you won't be able to do any of the other actions that you have to do. Every mission requires the other three buildings. So you want the mechanical shed right next to all the other buildings. Where we put it actually hurt us when we were playing because we had to spend so many moves getting to it. But after we put it there, we're like, oh, well, now that it's there, now we got to put a monorail station next to it so that we can get to it faster. So we had to waste a monorail station just trying to get to the sticker that we wasted putting there 2 adventures ago.
One component or one thing that I really like that they did with these dinosaurs is every dinosaur kind of had their own ability, then like how they attack, how they defend, and then their vitality, right? So even if it was a carnivore, at some point you may still be rooting for them like, oh, please don't die. Don't attack me, but also please don't die. Once a dinosaur dies, then you're getting closer to that like end game condition where you end up losing if you have all the consequence limit or something like that, right?
You know, when the dinosaurs attack, they can attack you and they can injure you, which is bad. Or they can attack other dinosaurs, and if they end up killing the other dinosaurs, it's bad as well too. So on the backs of all the dinosaurs, like here's the Tyrannosaurus Rex, if they get killed and they're removed from the game, you have to flip over 2 consequence tokens. So these are the consequence tokens right here. There's 1 0, 4 1s and 1 2, I think. And then if you end up getting a total of 5, then you immediately lose the game. So in order to win the game, you have to accomplish all the missions and not die from your consequences. So make it through all 5 rounds, go through all your actions, all the dinosaur actions, and accomplish your missions. And then that's how you win the adventure.
And then each adventure, sometimes there's like a main character or like a park employee that if they die, then you have to also flip over consequences. So gotta keep everyone alive in your fun park.
All right, so this is going to be the bane of your existence when you're playing this game. This is the thing where I feel that if people have issues with this game, it's going to be these 4 buildings. Now, these are the Jurassic World ones. We're just showing them because that's what we ended up with at the end of the game because of the legacy nature of it. But there's also some Jurassic Park versions of all of them too. And you'll notice that there's a Discovery Center, there's the Control Center, there's the Creation Lab, and then there's the maintenance building. Each of these has a task that you'll need to accomplish, and it's not like movie specific, and it's not very exciting. It's you have to get to the building, and then you have to move pieces around it to form certain patterns for this room, or you need to get to the building, and then you need to get rows and columns of other tiles in this building. So it's not very thematic, but you have to do those in every single adventure. And it's sort of like, okay, well, we have these difficult missions that we need to do every time you flip over around cards. Oh, do this. Oh, do that. Plus, throughout the course of the game, you're thinking, hey guys, when are we gonna get to this building and do this thing? And by the time you get everything lined up and you get into this building, it's, oh, the power's out. So now you need to go to the maintenance shed and you need to turn the power back on, which we put it far away, remember? And you need to go back to the maintenance shed, turn the power back on so that you can even do any of these things. So I could see where people would see it's very grueling, very aggravating, kind of boring, accomplishing these things. And it's every single adventure. And it becomes part of the legacy one too. Like this is the legacy booklet. This is what happens at the very end when they say it's still playable after you're all done. So this is an example of the patterns that you have to create for the genetics lab. This is a simple example of the patterns you have to make in the Discovery Center. So you're gonna have to do those things in all of the adventures, even the legacy one, if you wanna keep playing it after it's all done.
Yeah, I think the power outages were probably the bane of my existence because, you know, the first or second adventure, there wasn't a maintenance shed, and so you really didn't have to worry about it. However, every adventure after that was just like, power goes out, can't do stuff in the other rooms, power goes out, electric fences are down. If that happens and it's just luck of the draw, the way you flip over the different sector cards, you're like, dang it.
So this game suffers from a lack of variety in what you're doing. Not a lack of variety in the details from the movies. There's a ton of characters for you to choose from. They all come from the movies, the different characters, all the different things. Dr. Ellie Sattler, Owen Grady, Robert Muldoon, you have Ian Malcolm, you have Sarah Harding, you have all the different people from all the movies. But you're not gonna use them all because, like I said earlier, their powers aren't always good, so you're not gonna use them all. So there's a huge variety of characters, but you're gonna probably stick with certain ones. And the same thing with the dinosaur cards. It's like, oh yeah, there's a lot of dinosaurs that have a dinosaur danger, which sometimes will be thrown into the rounds and you might be placed somewhere, but it's luck of the draw. We always ended up getting stuck with the stupid Brachiosaurus one that made us go to bring the Brachiosaurus to zone 20 or whatever. Even though there's all these cards, we got this one 3 different times that we had to do this. It's to the point where like, should we plan that we're gonna have to do that one? It's just a lot of repeating the same thing over. The missions are the same. After a while, it overstays its welcome.
Yeah, after maybe like the 5th or 4th adventure, you kind of see the pattern already. You're like, all right, this is going to be another form of pick up and deliver, or, you know, do this, drop this off, or whether it's a person, a dinosaur, a main character. One thing that did get me was that Brachiosaurus one that we kept getting. At some point, it like became a carnivore. So it's like you're trying to save it and then it's like trying to eat you too. So they're like, ah.
All right, so one of the selling points of this game is that after you complete the legacy portion of it, which are 10 adventures, then there's the finale, which is kind of like a preview of what the legacy book is, which is right here. It's not that exciting. The finale was probably my least favorite adventure in all of it. Even as repetitive as they all were, I still felt like we were progressing. Whereas I felt like the finale was kind of like, all right, this one really is just repeating everything that we did. It's not adding anything new. Yes, it added the lava, and the lava is going thing, and you got to bring the dinosaurs to the coast. But I thought it was the most boring of all the missions that we had to do. I thought it was the least exciting. If this was the base game, like this, how this was set up, if we got this, I would not enjoy this game. So now we're stuck with a game after we're all done that I wouldn't really enjoy.
So once you're all done, you actually have a legacy or a Legacy of Isla Nublar score. Do you remember what our score was? Where we ended up on that?
All right, so our score, it was bad. Our legacy score was 25. We'd have to go online right now and check to see what it was. Which I want to point out, we didn't do bad. We only lost 2 out of 10. And we still only got a legacy score of 25, which was what?
So it's in ranges. So 25 to 34. So we just made this one.
We just barely made it into this level, which was?
Commendable outcome.
Commendable. Okay, so. But that's still right in the middle, right? There's 2.
Yeah, there's 35 to 40 and then 40 plus.
And if anyone has actually completed this whole thing and gotten their legacy score, let us know in the comments below what your legacy score was. All things considered, I thought we were doing pretty well over the 3 months, I think, that we played this game. 3 months, commendable.
Commendable.
Golf clap, commendable.
Yeah, right in the middle. So overall, it's kind of hard for me to really give this a score because this is our first Legacy game. I did like it. I had fun and I'm still gonna try Legacy games. It has that like co-op feeling sometimes that where it's like, someone can quarterback, but you can still help each other because everyone has their own character and they have their own moves to do. I love the pieces, love how it followed the whole Jurassic Park story, so I could kind of participate a little bit. If this was some other Legacy game where about, some story I've never heard of, it might be hard to get into. Because I liked it and because I'm still gonna try Legacy games and this is gonna be my baseline, I'll probably give it a 5.
Overall, there was actually a lot about this game that I really enjoyed. I do think that probably if we weren't so diehard to finish it all and be like, oh yeah, we finished it, up until about 5 or 6, I was like, okay, I get it. This is fun, I'm having fun, da-da-da-da-da. And then it was just like, all right, we're just finishing it at this point. I love the theme, I love the IP, I like the details that they put in from the movies. I wish that they were more incorporated with the gameplay so that you could use more of the characters without them feeling useless, just to add some variety to it. It's missing that variety. There's lots of stuff, but I feel like you're not using all the stuff and really taking advantage of all the stuff that the Jurassic Park franchise has to offer. So overall, I think I'm gonna give it a 5 as well, because I really did enjoy some aspects of it. It just got a little bit boring, a little bit repetitive along the way. And that was our review of The Legacy of Isla Nublar.
What'd you think? Are you ready to start your own dino park? Let us know in the comments below.
And if you're enjoying this content, please like this video, subscribe to our channel. And if you want to see more of our adventures through Jurassic Park, go ahead over to our Instagram. We'll have all of our stories and all of our reels showing you things that we did over the past 3 months. So go ahead and follow us over there.
Until next time, I'm Lee.
And I'm Kenny. I go party like a board gamer.